The Conservative Party conference has opened in Manchester.
4 days ago, we thought we were going to Tory Party conference, and then we changed our mind and decided to come to Milton Keynes. What's it like in Milton Keynes?
I was born and bred in Milton Keynes. I love Milton Keynes. Like, we've got the bowl and we've got the snow dome, we've got cinemas, I think it's a brilliant place to live.
Really?
Yeah.
What, is it like Brexit and shit?
Exactly. If only we could include you.
Not a fan of Jeremy Corbyn.
And Boris Johnson?
Not a fan of him much either, which is my problem. I've always been a Tory, but I'm not sure now.
Why? What's changed?
Well, I wanted to remain anyway, so.
I did want to come out, but.
And have you heard politicians say, no, if we don't leave, there'll be civil disorder and riots and all that? Do you think that's true?
No. I don't think anything will happen. I think they get to the 31st and nothing will happen.
Life goes on.
Yeah.
Wow. See, the person we haven't found so far, right, is Mr. Angry. You're told this country's meant to be going nutty, right? The idea that everyone's sort of frothing at the mouth and full of anger, right? I don't meet many people like that, and I haven't met any here yet.
There's all sorts of problems here, but at the end of the day, life is not that bad. The vast majority of us live pretty well.
Everyone's doing the shopping on a Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of that has got to do with like all the things as a country we're supposed to be mad about, right? Like the EU, all these international, multinational companies and stuff.
But then, how do you feel about it in yourself watching this unfold on telly?
I respect the fact that if people vote for something, they vote for something. But having grown up in South Africa, there's one thing we do now, which we didn't do before in apartheid days, which is compromise. You have to compromise. You have to find a middle ground.
We haven't got it in us anymore as a country to do things as ambitious as building whole new cities, which is effectively what this is. Have we?
We've barely even got it in us to make a film in.
To me, that's where we're staying. Let's take your thing in for now. Politics in Milton Keynes suggests England in microcosm. Though it returned 2 Tory MPs at the last election, voters fell pretty evenly between Labour and the Conservatives, and in the 2016 referendum, Milton Keynes voted to leave by roughly the same margin as Britain as a whole. Nice joint. How many bedrooms has it got? God, it's nice here. Now we should explain what this is, right? Much as Milton Keynes has been here 40 years, still ways in which it points to the future, and this is one of them. That has got someone's groceries in it. It's an autonomous robot, and it's on its way. I don't know why it stopped. I think we've made it stop.
Do you want to try and vox pop it?
What do you think about Boris Johnson? Got any views on Brexit? It's gone! But is that a common sight?
It is, it
Those
really
delivery
is.
robots.
Yeah, and as I'm walking along here and I'm like dodging the... And if I feel in a silly mood, I might even say good morning to them or something like that.
Yeah, I was just having a chat with it.
Right.
What do you think of it? How do you feel about it?
Well, I think you just have to accept that that's what the future's going to be like, isn't it?
I don't know if you have any sense of this. It's meant to be a big day today. The Prime Minister's making this speech and giving his last offer to the European Union. Otherwise, we're marching out.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think he's sort of prime ministerial material at all. And I've always voted Tory.
Wow. God, he's coming back.
Yeah.
Or she. Follow the robot.
Can we follow it?
I'm a moderate person, so people like the late John Smith or Tony Blair, sort of Ken Clarke or the Amber Rudd, I want sort of moderate people.
Where do you think they're taking the country?
Well, I don't think they know, do they? They don't know how all of this is going to pan out, as evidenced by the closing down of Parliament, and that was
Another one.
It's just absolute madness, and you wouldn't have this in any organisation.
Last question. Why is Britain this hitherto stable sort of place, do you think? Why have we suddenly taken this turn?
Well, I guess it's kind of multifaceted, isn't it, really? I mean, but people are not deferential like they used to be, and people just had certain choices, didn't they? The church, or they were employed for life by a local company.
But the interesting thing is, I've been to places where people I meet some people who are angry and shouting and all that, and I've had 5 days in Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that Brexit fever is caught on here.
Well, perhaps they feel somewhat protected by, they live in a bubble, I don't know. Well, what do you think it is then?
I think it's because there isn't the weight of history in Milton Keynes, and you don't have those same resentments that I get in post-industrial places and so on.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people here I meet have just got a sense of, well, what have I got to do today?
Yeah.
What have you got to do today?
Well, I'm just going to meet a friend for a coffee.
We better leave you alone.
Yeah.
What's it like living here?
It's alright, it's nice. It's quiet. There's plenty of parking.
Are you following politics and the news much at the minute?
Oh, Christ. I'm trying to stay away from it, to be honest with you.
How do you feel about it?
I voted for Brexit.
If there was an election next week, who would you vote for?
I'd probably go Liberal, to be honest with you.
Would you?
Only because I just don't...
Christ, you're a Leave voter who might vote Liberal Democrat.
Only because I can't vote Tory. I cannot vote for the Conservatives, just purely because I don't agree with hardly anything that they believe in. And I just don't think Jeremy Corbyn will get elected. I just don't think anyone likes him.
Thank you, sir.
No worries.
Lovely to meet you.
And you?
I suspect that that's the absolute centre ground. Not in terms of issues and left, right and that. I just mean the sort of median point of where people are at right now is that fella. I keep going. People sleep under underpasses.
In the centre it's a bit stale. I wouldn't live in the centre here.
Why not?
Because no one lives here.
Right, okay. Well, they do.
Yeah.
Hello. No help everybody.
You have not got a house.
8
months you've been homeless.
Waiting 4 years. 4 years. Before I work 4 years in one company. McDonald's, understand?
So we're not just sort of staring blankly at those tents. A sort of fella in his 20s emerged from one of them a moment ago, and I spoke to him, and he wouldn't talk on camera, but I got the impression he was a trained electrician who'd worked on film sets, and he was desperate for work. So he's living in a dome tent, shaking out his doormat in the morning, in the middle of all this modern splendour. I don't know, it sort of lulls you into this sense that all the problems you usually find all over the place aren't here, and then suddenly there they all are, everywhere. Because the truth is, irrespective of what it looks like, Milton Keynes is just like everywhere else. Shall I sit down?
Yeah.
That's very kind of you.
It's actually very comfy. Everyone called the Angel.
So, I'm going to ask you an obvious question. How long have you been on the street?
27 months. Brought up in Surrey, very good childhood, very good education. With Dan, we've been together 18 years this year. Came here, but the work that he was promised for like several months actually dried up within several weeks. So we couldn't pay the rent, therefore, what's the plan? We really thought that this was it, Milton Keynes.
That was what you came to Milton Keynes, and
For
that
a
was
fresh start.
Where from?
From Surrey.
Milton Keynes from the outside, people always think it's like the sort of social middle, and
Yeah,
most people there are comfortably off.
London and
I've been quite struck since I've been here that homelessness, particularly, is very visible here. You know.
last year there was a tent in every other underpass. The council have just taken the tents away from the underpasses and disposed of them. I mean, I used to have a tent. The council all of a sudden we come back one day and it's gone with all of our stuff in it. All of my photos, family photos, things that I'll never get back, gone.
The number of deaths among homeless people in England and Wales has risen by more than 20% in a year.
One of the last lines of defence against living on the streets is the bus shelter MK, which provides beds on what used to be a tour bus. So this is it.
By and large, somebody has a top bunk to sleep in, and they keep their belongings in the bottom bunk. Rents are going up. People are being evicted so that landlords can charge more rent, or they get laid off because they're on a 0 hours contract. People come here, they quite often haven't been on the streets all that long, which is great because it means with a little bit of help they can get back. It's a few months on the street, and it can be very, very difficult to get that back. Very difficult.
So we're going to leave the EU on October the 31st, even without a deal. Have we heard how they propose to do that, given there is a law in place to stop a no-deal Brexit?
Hello, thank you very much indeed. Right, Cormac. What tends to happen is if you spend all day sort of at the nitty-gritty talking to people about real things, I mean, come back home and switch the telly on and it all goes absurd again. I don't feel like I'm being told about reality in some way. It feels like I'm in a different universe than Tory comments, which is a nice feeling, really. I think we'd be going off our heads if we were there. Now into the world. And the Brexit nightmare grinds on, or bleeps on. That's Morse code for we've had it. When we're on these trips and we meet people who are sort of doing work that somehow offers a sense of hope, I guess, more often than not they're women. Donna's here. Donna Fuller is the leader of Woughton Community Council. She moved to Milton Keynes in 1979 when this new town was just housing, and now she and her colleagues fill a lot of the gaps left by austerity.
We backfill. We come in and we do things that our residents need us to do.
One of those things is the community fridge, which distributes food that would otherwise be thrown away. Tell me about the difference the fridge makes.
It's helped us a lot. I've got a bad shoulder, so I haven't been able to work for about 3 months.
And you're getting sick pay?
I'm getting sick pay,
But
but it's only £400 a month. Jesus. How can you live on £400 a month? You do. The government say I can live on that, I can't.
Hey, Bubs.
And I asked you about news and politics and all that. I mean, do you have any sense of where the country's going at the minute? Brexit and all that?
The immigrants are going to go back home, and then we're going to be stuck where the economy's not moving. NHS ain't going to have half the nurses they've got. There's a lot of Polish people in warehouses, and they keep our country going.
Come on then, mate. Let's go.
I think I'm right in saying the child poverty rate here is just around about 40%.
Yeah.
But there are neighbourhoods I could drive to in 5 minutes here, where it's like 5%.
Yeah. Well, you just have to look at the mortality rate. Our parish borders the canal. The parish opposite the canal, the other side of the canal, which is what, a 12-foot stretch?
Yeah.
They will live 10 to 11 years longer than we will. Just by sheer virtue they live the other side of the canal.
It's sort of Britain. Milton Keynes is Britain in microcosm in every way, isn't it? In every
and
way.
Woughton even more so. Yeah, Brexit's going on and there's all sorts of arguments around that, but actually that means nothing to the people around here. What they're worried about is what time the community fridge is going to open. It's almost above them, it's almost happening to them, it's not happening with them.
It's been a sort of very strange, heady sort of week. Because we've just been reminded that in this country, you know, you don't have to look very far at all to find that we're in a fragile sort of state and we've got all sorts of problems. And yet the people in charge are talking with this sort of madcap urgency about getting out of the EU by October the 31st and ending free movement once and for all. Well, I've never heard a Tory politician, even when they have talked about homelessness and child poverty and food banks, I've never heard them talk in those sort of terms of ending it all, do or die. And yet here we are, and that's their attitude to this thing, which could have God knows what consequences. Right, we're ordering our lunch from a robot. Should you get some strawberries? Some egg and Chris.
I'll get one from in there.
No, come on, man. You got to go with the programme here.
Ploughman's then.
Right. ETA is 32 minutes, right? Let's see in the sun.
It's absurd.
Of course, it's absurd.
We're ordering a robot, and Boris Johnson's going to deliver it to us.
His voice has just got to boom out across here, man. Right, the robot's on the way. So is Boris Johnson.
Bit of the va-va-voom. The crowd who are just shouting Boris, Boris, Boris in the background want to hear.
Well, as you're talking about va-va-voom, here he comes entering.
He needs to run. He needs to run.
This House of Commons, which refuses to deliver Brexit. If Parliament were a laptop, then the screen would be showing, I'm afraid, the pizza wheel of doom.
Your robot is now at the pickup point. Please go to meet it now. Right, and then what happens? They're sending me messages and
Fed up myself of being told that our country can't do something when I passionately believe that it can.
Keep sending me notifications, but how do I get the stuff out?
This country has long been a pioneer. We inaugurated the steam age here in Manchester. We inaugurated the atomic age.
Okay.
Pioneered ideas of free markets and privatisation that spread across the planet.
Right, click here and send robot away. Thanks, little fella.
now we are about to take another giant step, to do something no one thought we could do, to reboot our politics, to relaunch ourselves into the world, and to dedicate ourselves again to the simple proposition that we are here to serve the democratic will of the British people.
I'm worried about Strobot now, he seems to be stuck.
Let's get Brexit done. We can, we must, and we will. We are coming out of the EU on October the 31st, come what may.